find the exact value of each expression in radians. So we got inverse functions here, sine inverse of 1. This is sometimes written as arc sine of 1, same thing. Okay, so that's the problems here. So sine inverse of 1 means we'll get an angle. So the answer will be an angle, okay? So whenever we have sine inverse of domain, that domain should be in between -1 and 1, inclusive, okay? That should be inside. That will be the answer, let's say some x value. That should be in between here, -pi/2 to pi/2. Okay, this should be in between -pi/2 to pi/2, and these are inclusive, including -pi/2 to pi/2. If this value is positive, then our answers will be in between 0 and pi/2. If this value is negative, then negative of that one. Okay, so here sine inverse of 1. So essentially we want to find the angle whose sine is 1. So sine of which angle is 1. The angle should be in between -pi/2 to pi/2, inclusive. We know that sine of 90 degrees or pi/2 is 1. Okay, that means sine inverse of 1 will be pi/2. Okay, and that pi/2 is in this range. Same thing here, sine inverse of 1/2. So we want to find an angle whose sine is 1/2, and that angle must be in between. So it's a positive, means in between 0 and pi/2. Looking at the unit circle, we know that sine pi/6, sine 30 degrees is 1/2. Sine pi/6 is 1/2. That means sine inverse of 1/2 is pi/6. Okay. And now part C, cosine inverse. So let's go for cosine inverse. Okay, cosine inverse has a range little bit different. So cosine inverse, the answers will be in between 0 and pi. So here, this is pi/2, and here, these are negative values in the second quadrant, first quadrant. So we got 0 here, cosine inverse of 0. So the answer should be in between 0 and pi, okay? Cosine inverse of something, let's say that's x, then the x will be in between 0 and pi. If this value is positive, we will be in first quadrant, 0 to pi/2. If this value is negative, then we will be here, pi/2 to pi. And we know that cosine of 90 degrees is 0. Okay, cosine of 90 is 0, means cosine inverse of 0 is pi/2. Let's do part E first. Cosine inverse of -1. We know that cosine of 0 is 1. Cosine of pi is -1. So cosine inverse of -1 is simply pi. And that pi is in our range, okay? It should be in between 0 and pi, inclusive, and pi. Now comes tangent inverse. Tangent inverse is like sine inverse, okay? The range will be the same, but the endpoints pi/2 and -pi/2 and pi/2 are not included. So this line is not, otherwise it's same as sine inverse. So let me write over here. So tangent inverse of something will be x, and that range, that answer should be in between -pi/2 to pi/2, but the angles negative pi over 2 and pi over 2 are not included. And tangent inverse of positive number will be in the first quadrant. Tangent inverse of negative angle will be in the here, okay, negative of whatever that angle is. Tangent inverse of 1, that is, we know that tangent of 45 degrees pi over 4 is 1. That means tangent inverse of 1 is pi over 4, and pi over 4 is in first quadrant, so this is valid angle, and that's the answer.